Hey everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. You know, it's been a few years. I don't remember how I used to introduce this. I think I just used to say, hey, welcome to my weekly Q&A or something like that. And it was shorter. I don't know how I managed to make it longer over time. But I don't really have too much to talk about at the start of this week's episode. Just got a bunch of videos coming out this week. They'll probably do a patch note reading on Tuesday for 0.38. You know, we already know it's going to be there, but take a look at it. And then we'll have retrospect stuff on Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, State of the Realm will be uploaded on Friday. And Saturday will be my Final Fantasy III overview video, which has been delayed weeks and weeks because I've had other Friday videos uploaded, but I'm going to put that out on Saturday, which is normally the State of the Realm day. But that's what the schedule is looking like for this week, and I'm already working on getting a bunch of other April videos already made and done this week so I can chill and coast as I get ready for my move. With that, though, I just think I'll just get to the Q&A at this point. So thank you to all the sponsors over on Patreon for supporting. You don't have to support. It's completely optional. All of my content is available for free on YouTube, but those of you that do, I appreciate it. And of course, we have all the usual sponsors and whatnot in the description. Steel Series, Advanced GG, Every Plate, which will be going away soon, but I've been rotating between a bunch of different ones, so I'm sure I'll have another one rotating in the next several weeks, month, whatever. Either way, let's see what the questions are like this week, shall we? Hashtag 5 hellos for Mrhappy Mondays. Hey, hi, hello, konnichiwa, howdy. See, you kept your word. Hope all is well and your move is going smooth. Yeah, I actually am waiting for one particular package to get here so I can store. It's just like a storage thing so I can put stuff away so that, you know, I just, everything that's down there already is just on the floor because I don't have anywhere to put it yet, or in the closet. But it's not a whole lot, but I would, you know, I'd like to have some place to put my clothes and whatnot. You know, it's got a couple of things that still need grabbing. But other than that, super smooth. In previous Mondays, you've mentioned your favorites and least favorites for each role, but what changes do you think would be necessary to make your least favorite into your favorite? I don't have an answer for that because I am a firm believer that you should be listening to the people who play the jobs and like the jobs for feedback, and not the people who don't play it or don't want to play it. Because when you start listening to the people who refuse to play it, don't find it fun, it doesn't make any sense because you're trying to please the people who didn't like it, but then you're risking the people liking it, not liking it anymore. So I don't ever think about this. Like, do I know what I don't like about classes? Yeah, but some of them are just down to feel, like Samurai and Dragoon. I wouldn't change anything about those jobs. Maybe reduce some of the buttons or the off globals, but like fundamentally, I just don't connect with them, you know? And that to me doesn't mean they should change anything to make me want to play them. I just know there's 19 jobs in the game and I can't like all of them. So I guess that's my answer, but it doesn't really answer the question. As for the second question, since we know there are 2 more variant dungeons coming, what locations have gone unused or unmentioned? Well, we know where the next one is, Mount Rockon, over in the far east, probably in Hingashi itself. And I don't know, I actually was hoping they were going to do something with all of the city-states, but it would have been kind of weird to do more Gelmoran stuff because we have Palace of the Dead. And for Limsa, I feel like we've explored a lot of the pirate past already. So Sildi made a lot of sense. We know a decent bit about Sildi. We've had a few instances of it, but there's always more to discover. And it was really more for Nanamo that we were doing these things anyway. So Rockon, I'd have to imagine we'll have to do with Gosetsu or Hien. I mean, it could do with Yugiri as well, but we know Yugiri's homeland. So I don't think that's going to be the case for Rockon itself. And as for another location, I don't know. Because it's not going to be the starting city-states, there's so many locales around the world that we don't really know a whole lot about. They're marked on the map. They have like doors or gates or things that we just have never entered, especially over in Dravania. So maybe something in Dravania, maybe something tangential or nearby to the mountain to what's that mountain? I almost said Sorkai. And that's not it. That's the dungeon later. Yeah, wow. I can't remember the name of the 53 dungeon. Either way, something around that area would probably be the next place I would think to go. Hashtag Sundays and Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey Haps, hi, hope you're doing well. Same to you. Got an easy question for you this week. I'll be the judge of that. Who is your favorite Scion, past or present, and why? You know, for a while it was Urianger, because as much as him talking was an absolute headache, I felt like they did a much better job with developing him as a character, and I feel like that's especially evident as you get towards the end of Endwalker itself. He starts as this largely enigmatic, kind of reserved individual, and you kind of gradually break him out of his shell, and it almost feels like he's insecure about his... I guess not intellectual prowess, but the means with which he processes information and regurgitates it, and the things he's fascinated with. It feels like he's kind of nervous to share those things at the earlier levels, or will only do so when prompted or when absolutely necessary. And he's far more forthcoming about things once he's discovered by Alice, and you have to deal with the Warriors of Darkness in the Heavensward series. And then as it just time continues on, he opens up a little bit more. I think as soon as the Moonbrita events happen in 2.5, it really starts to kind of, crack his outer shell. And you just get a really good development of him that gets a little bit silly and not so serious all the time as things move forward. So he's really up there a lot for that reason. Whereas other characters, they grow and evolve and change, but it never feels as out of character or out of left field. It doesn't feel like it's weird that they're doing the things that they're doing based on things they've done before. Alphino also has that great character development. After A Realm Reborn, he really starts to pick things up, and he still struggles with his demons a little bit. The events of 2.3 to 2.5 really do haunt him for quite some time into Endwalker. So I really prefer Scions that are like that. Not the Scion that does the cool thing during the cutscene or whatever. I like to see a character grow and a character be given meaning and not just kind of be present, I suppose. So I think those two are kind of at the top of my list. It would be between Urianger and Alphino. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Mr. Happy. Hi. Hope the weekend is treating you well. As well as any weekend will. I'll say that much. A lot of cooking this weekend. I used my own Every Plate deal. So they send me a free box as part of the sponsorship, and I do a cooking stream with it. But I've had HelloFresh, and Every Plate is a subsidiary of HelloFresh. And I swapped over now from HelloFresh to Every Plate and used my own discount. So I got 24 meals for like $1.49 a piece. So it was like $40 with shipping. Or was there shipping? I don't even remember. I just remember seeing the price of the meals. I have to double check. Either way, I have to cook all of them, so it's going to take a while. That's what I've been doing this weekend. Cooking, storing. And I'll just have food to munch on throughout the week as I go. So it's been eventful. Have you noticed a trend in week one groups where alts for splits is required, or has it always been this way? So that has never been a thing before. Most people want alts with week one, so after you clear, you can either do splits week 2, or you can try to do an alt run in week 1. What is almost certainly going to happen, and something I actually need to begin preparing for, is week 1 of the next tier, the most hardcore groups will require splits. I do have a character that's pretty close to being able to do splits at the moment. Oh, wait a minute. I did splits this last... I have a character that's Biss, an alt that's Biss in Abyssos. What am I talking about? It might not be for the role that I play, though. Who knows if I'll be on Monk or Dancer or whatever next year. Who knows? But I just realized, what am I talking about? I did splits all throughout Abyssos. So I expect it to be mandatory because of the mismanagement of the balancing of Abyssos. I think groups are going to want to eliminate the risk of, bad week 1 loot, or try to mitigate that risk as much as possible to give themselves an edge to ensure a week 1 clear. Versus, I think the most hardcore groups won't do it and will instead just focus on mastering the mechanics and uptime because they know it'll be possible. But it's going to be interesting seeing how 6.4's raid tier ends up going because of the events of Abyssos. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Howdy. Hello. I haven't had a chance to see a lot of your older footage as I've recently begun watching your content roughly around the end of last year. Oh yeah, I got stuff way older than that. My questions are as such. Why did you choose Lalafell? And have you experienced a character crisis in the past and gone crazy with Phantas? So the second question is no. I got a free Fantasia from being a legacy player, and I used that to change from a Rogadin to an Elezen. Now, I only changed from Elezen to Lalafell because somebody reached out to me and said they were doing a Lalafell glam contest. And they wanted me to be a judge and a Lalafell as a judge. And I said, well, I'm not a Lalafell. And they said, like, we'll give you the Fantasias to become a Lalafell. So My ex made my character, and I just haven't changed back. That's it. That's the only reason I'm a Lalafell and not something else. However, as a raider, I have grown to like being a Lalafell because while the center point of every character is the same, regardless of how large your character is, being so tiny makes pinpointing my position on the arena a little easier for me. So that's the main reason I've stayed Lalafell, but I have 7 Fantasias. I could change at any point, realistically, but I've also never had a crisis. I can't stand changing my character and how it looks. It affects how I raid, personally, and I just don't want that. Ferronator, I just like the name. I don't know, I didn't even want to read the hashtag. I just wanted to start with the name because it screamed that to me. Hashtag with Mondays, happy mister. Hi there. Hi. With 6.4 fast approaching, I've become a hoarder of crafting materials and script turn-ins in hopes of having a head start on making my raid gear. What, if any, preparations do you typically take when waiting on a new raid tier patch when you do that you would not do on other major minor? I can tell you right now, I don't craft. I very rarely gather. But you need 2,000 of the capped tombstone and 2,000 of the uncapped tombstone. So you'll want what even are they called now? I don't even know. Whatever they're called at the moment. I know the new one's comedy, but like whatever the capped tombstone is, I guess, you know what though? This is true of any patch. Whenever an even numbered patch is coming out, you want 2,000 of whatever the capped tombstone is at the time, and 2,000 of the uncapped tombstone at the time. Not Poetics, the max level uncapped tombstone. The reason being, they very regularly add crafting materials for the previously capped tombstone. So like the capped tombstone becomes uncapped, and then it gets a bunch of crafting materials that's used for new raid gear. The uncapped tomes can then be converted to about 400 of the now uncapped tomes, so the previous ones for the new ones. And so you end up with about 2,400 tomes to use on materials that you will use to craft the new gear. Now, if you have multiple characters and you can afford the time and the effort, doing it on multiple of them, definitely a good idea. Other than that, making sure your gathering gear is up to date so you can grab anything that's new is the other most important thing. It doesn't hurt to also maybe make sure you have fate gemstones capped. Like sometimes that matters, sometimes it doesn't. I don't think it's ever mattered past like the earliest points of the expansion, like the 0.0 patches or the 0.05 patches, but I do it anyway, just in case. You know, you never know when at the very least they could add something of value where people will pay gil for it, and then you can make that gil and that can help you as well. So that's about it. Just making sure my capped and uncapped tombstones are capped, and I'm good at that point. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Mr. Happy. Hi. Hope you're doing good. You too. Love listening to these Q&As on my drive to pick up the kids. My wife loves that I volunteer, but little does she know, it's a reward. Listen, if there's anything I've learned, she suspects it, but she just doesn't know what. I was wondering if you've heard or think they're going to include Zeramis as the 7th trial. Oh yeah, that's like the #1 theory, especially now that we know that Golbez is the 6.4 trial. Oh yeah, I think it's going to be Zera. Now, to be fair, it doesn't have to be the option. I'm sure they could come up with something else, or they have their own ideas, something original, whatever. There's other routes for them to go. That being said, I think the safest guess is Zeramis in 6.5 as a trial. So that's what I'm going to lock in my guess for until we see otherwise. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Happy. Hi. Hope you're doing well. You too. Just one question. I've been wanting to get into higher tier part of 14, current extremes and savage. I'm always worried about messing up people's runs by trying to learn the fight, seeing as how I've never done a synced extreme or savage yet. Am I being overcautious? Is there something I should do first? If you're nervous, watch guides first. That's it. That's the only precaution you can take, because everybody screws up. First of all, don't join clear and re-clear parties, and the expectation won't be there that you'll be perfect. Join learning parties or make your own learning parties, and then the expectation is screw-ups will happen. You will progress as far as you could possibly go with a group, and then it'll disband, and then you'll try to go further with the next group. And that's it. Honestly, most people psych themselves into thinking that raiding is like some insurmountable mountain that they need to be ultra prepared for and they can't screw up. You don't. Seasoned vets screw up all the time. It doesn't matter, really. You just gotta dive in and aim for within what your goals are. Don't try to shoot above that, and you likely won't be criticized or given any trouble or anything at all. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hello. Hi, Haps. Hello. Hope you're having a good day. Man, it's been pretty good. We're recently playing through Final Fantasy XII for the first time and having a blast with it. TZA specifically. Glad to hear that. I have a question regarding that game. With TZA allowing us to choose 2 license board, which job combinations are your favorite? Oh, so I'm trying to remember, because I played through TZA on its initial release. We couldn't change jobs then. So I did a lot of researching ahead of time to get the job combinations that I wanted. And even then I started making some changes. Nowadays, you can change the jobs if you like a different combination. And I don't remember, to be honest. There were a lot of things that I did. I remember making one of my tankier characters have things like haste and slow. And I remember having one character that was just like all gun. Like, I didn't even care what else they had. They were just all gun. And then I had a character who was a breaker, and I don't really remember my combinations super well. I just kind of did them. But what I loved is that I was able to put so much thought into it and kind of create exactly what I wanted. And it worked really, really well. I also played through New Game Minus and had much a similar outlook, although guns were way more important in New Game Minus because of them doing kind of that neutral damage that ignores defense. So yeah, there's a ton of things, but I love TZA's job customization. I love the way that it feels, the way that it plays. It's definitely up there. Like, I can't praise it enough as an improvement over the original Final Fantasy XII. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hiya, Haps, an extra bonjour in your back pocket. Let me put it there. Got it. Just a quick question. Will we have appearances of Aloha and Ivy on screen once the movie is complete? I mean, Ivy's right over here, actually. And yeah, they'll be around. I'll still have them around. Aloha, it feels like he's already getting used to the idea. He is non-stop bugging me while I'm trying to record, while I'm trying to stream. It doesn't matter if I give him attention. Like, I basically in the afternoon, like pretty much right when this is done, I'll go into the living room and I'll groom him and I'll pet him and I'll lay with him for a bit and I'll roll him over so he gets kind of a little agitated, so he moves around a little bit. But then Ivy will come jumping in and he'll get jealous because now she's trying to get all up in my attention. And then he'll kind of just wander off, and then like 20 minutes later, he'll come looking for me again. But by then I've moved on and I'm doing something else. And that's kind of the song and dance that just ends up happening nonstop with Aloha. He's like super needy, but he doesn't want to admit that he's super needy until he's screaming in your face that he wants something. He's quite the handful. She's a little just too much in your face. But other than that, she doesn't really get in the way all that much. So they're a handful, both of them. And they don't spend too much time together outside of sleeping at night. So they don't really entertain each other either. So they'll be making... In fact, if anything, they'll appear more with the way the layout's going to be. Like here, Ivy sleeps on this, and sometimes Aloha creeps into frame and whatnot. He's over there sleeping next to my PC at the moment. But in the new place, with the way it'll be set up, I think they'll be on camera more, both of them in particular. So yeah, you'll get plenty of appearances from them. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Haps. Hi. I hope you and yours are well. Doing I. Long-time watcher, first-time asker. Welcome. Aloha, by the way, from the last question, has stirred awoke and is now eating. He can't really see him, but he's like right here. And it's just barely off camera. I'm not sure of all the existing jobs in the Final Fantasy universe, but with Yoshi P now going down the brand new job route for 14, do you think that Void Mage is a possibility? So questions like this, just as a precedent, don't really do super well, only because I have no authority to say what they will or will not do. I have no authority to say what I think they will or won't do, especially when there's no precedent in game for them to add something as a job. The existence of something in the game is not precedent for them to add it as a job. I mean, we've had geomancers in the game. There was an entire class guild that was abandoned, because that was supposed to be from 1.0. Then instead they ended up just doing machinist. The Musketeers Guild was supposed to be a class at 1.0 is going to add at some point. So these don't really, I guess, make sense as questions for me to answer in any sort of logical or based on context. You know what I mean? I can't really give you an answer. There's just no reason for me to say yes, but there's also no way for me to say no. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Howdy. Hi. As a huge 14 and Monster Hunter fan, as a huge fan of 14 and Monster Hunter, I think the crossovers we've gotten in game have been really cool, and I love how Square Enix integrated them. I'm curious what other series you'd be interested in getting a crossover with, be that some sort of group content or request. Off the top of my head, the only realistic things I want are Atlas SMT. I do not want cross-game crossovers. Like, I don't actively want them. We've just had kind of like, yeah, the Monster Hunter one in particular is good. When I look at the rest of them, it's I'm not wild about them. Yeah, the glams are cool. Sometimes the mounts or minions are cool, whatever. Like, I'm not saying the rewards are a problem, but I'm not wild about any of the crossovers except the Monster Hunter one, which feels like the one. If they did one of that quality, I still don't have one I'd prefer them to do. Like, I don't just immediately jump towards my other favorite franchise. You know, I don't just immediately jump towards Devil May Cry or Armored Core. You know, it's just not how I think about these things. You know, I just think I want 14 to focus on improving 14 and the things that are in 14 and less about collaborations. Now, do I expect collaborations? Yeah, I expect a 16 collaboration. I'd be very surprised if we don't get one, and I'll probably like it when I do it. But if we don't get one, I won't be like, man, they should have done that, or, oh, I'm so disappointed. I'll be like, oh, I guess they just decided they weren't going to do it. And that'd be the end of it for me. You know, I just don't have that kind of attachment to the games that I play crossing over as much as other people do. Hashtag Sundays with Mr. Happy. Nice. Hey, Haps, hope your move is doing A-OK. Doing A-OK indeed, and hello. Repost from last week since I think you've already recorded by the time I posted. Yeah, I don't recognize this from last week, so I don't think this is one that I would have skipped over. Been watching your 16 PAX East live stream reaction, that 3-hour wait for the archive. Oh my goodness, that killed. Yeah, I definitely would have remembered answering this. Surprised you seem quite well versed in fighting games, knowing things like OTG, corners, and auto combo assist that ArcSys works on things like Persona 4 Arena. I was wondering if you have some history with fighting games, since I don't think you've ever talked about them. No, I try to stay kind of, I don't even want to say knowledgeable or on the up and up. I consume a lot of different content as just a viewer. League of Legends is a game I've watched for years and years and years, but I do not enjoy playing it. Fighting games I've dabbled with on occasion. Like, I had a friend who used to talk smack about how good he was at Street Fighter 4, and so I just picked Balrog, learned how to play Balrog just to beat him. You know? And then same with, Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I was a huge Devil May Cry fan, so I learned how to play Dante and Trish and Virgil and just tried to go to town on people with that trio, even though if they didn't have the greatest of combinations. I wasn't a big fan of how their support skills kind of interacted with each other. There's definitely better combinations, but that's what I did. And, Persona 4, I heard it had a story mode, so I played it. It's like I have experience with fighting games, but do I play them? Do I have a history? No, I wouldn't say that. I consider myself, quote-unquote, free when it comes to fighting games. But as someone who consumes things like Evo for Street Fighter and Smash and all these titles, Tekken, which has become, I love watching Tekken in the last few years. It's been phenomenal catching Tekken whenever they have a big thing going on. I hear the terms a lot. I experience the terms a lot, so I know the terms. And I know what the function of those terms is. And fortunately, as a huge Devil May Cry fan, which is made by Capcom, a lot of those aspects are present in Devil May Cry. So I can kind of apply that knowledge to that and subsequently to Final Fantasy 16. I love fighting games. I've met a lot of great fighting game players, really awesome community, but I myself, no good. No good. And as for which icon am I looking to trying out, I don't know that we're going to get to try very many icons. Maybe I was expecting we probably won't get to play as more than Phoenix, Ifrit, and probably Shiva at one point. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we got to play as Ramuh. Oh, you know what? I should go watch one of the earlier trailers because they have a bunch of health bars with names that imply that you control them. So actually, yeah, I should go back and look at that. I would have probably enjoyed playing Bahamut, but I don't know that we'll get to play as all of them. I don't think we will, but that's what I'm hoping. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hello. Hi. I hope all is well. Same to you. My question is, are there any downsides or problems with making an additional PvP roulette for Rival Wings? Well, it wouldn't be a roulette. It would just be a first-time bonus for playing the map that's there. I can never find a match outside of Moogle Tombstone events. Yeah, it's been a huge problem. I mean, I completely agree with this. It doesn't even need to be a roulette. It just needs to be your first game of Rival Wings in a day gives you a bonus. That's it. There's no roulette because there's only one. You know what I mean? Or just including, I know why it can't be included in the other one because of the difference in the way that it's set up and probably honestly in the way that it's programmed on the back end. But yeah, no, they need something for Rival Wing. It's so silly. In a similar vein, I'd like to see more level 90 roulette, specifically in the form of a normal raid just level 90 normal and alliance. Yeah, those are so small, but you know what? Giving experts 2 dungeons, I can't really complain about it being too small of a category. And of course, you know, more daily tomes, more daily activities. Hey, I ain't gonna say no to that. You know what I'm saying? So no, I don't see any downsides to that either, other than needing to program them into the game. What, you know, that's not something I need to worry about. That's something they need to worry about. So let's make it happen, okay? Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. I appreciate your appreciation of punctuation. Hello, Haps. Hi. Hope all is good for you and the kitties. I'm doing A-okay. My question pertains to alt and mental health. Instant DSR flashbacks. A group broke up after 8 months of prog, after 3 months of Doth prog, and just couldn't do it. Oh, after 3 months, I wouldn't have even made it into 3 months of Death of the Heavens prog. Since then, I've been in PF and haven't seen the end, but I have seen the end, but just can't get the clear. I'm losing my mind being so close. Yeah, that's human nature, to just want to be able to complete it, to just tuck it away and just be done with it. I fear taking a break would miss those who have cleared, helping others. No. UCOB and Uwu still have this kind of activity. Like, Ultimates, do they wane and waver, and do they each have kind of a different level of popularity for stuff like this? Absolutely. But you are never too late to do Ultimate, because there are people who do it non-stop. There are PFs, there are Discords, there are clear groups, there are clear for ones, clear for threes. I have a friend who literally is in a clear for one static for top. There's 7 people who look for people trying to do it in PF, and their sole effort is to clear for that one person. There are people who do this for all the Ultimates. I'm not saying it's the same group of people. I'm not saying it's the same activity all the time, but they're there. You're never too late, and it's never a bad idea to take a break if it's wearing you down. So I say take the break. It'll still be there forever. Hashtag Mondays with the Happy Mister. Hello, Mr. Happy. I thought I was the Happy Mister. I was wondering why nobody ever talks about the Omega continuation yellow side quest in Old Charlian. Because we did it once, and what else is there to talk about? It's like, oh, it's so beautiful. That's it. That's there's nothing to say about it after that. We just go, that was beautiful, and we're good. That's it. And most people don't. It's not that they don't consider it a must do. It's just, it's we just did it, and that's it. It's not. People play the game in all sorts of different ways. I don't know how to describe this. It's just, we just play, and then like we discover things and we do things, and that's, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing bad about it. It's really good. But I think all of us who did it, we just did it. We had it done in 30 to 40 minutes, and then we were just like, okay, that was great. And then we just moved on. We just don't talk about it because it's like internalized, and that's all there is to it. Hashtag Mr. Happy. Why do you gotta ruin Mondays for me and everybody else with that? Hey Haps, how you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. How are the cats? Good. I think Big Boy, yep, he went back to bed after he finished chomping down a little bit. Non-Blitzball related question. DMC related question. Okay, do we need both of those in there? Do you think we'll ever see Lucia again? You know, to be fair, she's from the worst Devil May Cry game. Yes, worse than DMC Devil May Cry. She's from Devil May Cry 2. I don't know that we'll ever see Devil May Cry again. Like, we know that Itsuno, his passion project is Dragon's Dogma. Like, it's the franchise that he feels like defines everything he wants to be as a developer. It's the world he wants to explore the most. And while I'm glad he decided to do Devil May Cry 5 first, I don't know who's going to eventually take up the mantle of another Devil May Cry game. And honestly, I won't be surprised if we never see Lucia again. Again, Devil May Cry 2, I just don't think they want to I think they know what the general consensus is on Devil May Cry 2. And I don't think they want to go back to it very much. I wouldn't mind. She wasn't a bad character. She was in a bad game. But it's not like it doesn't make that her fault. She could be better. It could be good. It could all be better. I know at the canceled ladies' night. So we don't know that. So that was never announced. It was never confirmed. We just assumed it was there because of somebody who went into the code and found something called ladies' night. We don't know that was ever going to actually be a thing, or it was anything more than an idea. That was never confirmed. So just gonna throw that out there as well. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Happy. Hi. Hope your day is going well and that April ends up being a good month. March was a great month. Hoping the same for April. Really looking forward to Final Fantasy 16 and want to play it without using any of the timely accessories, but I'm terrible at fast action. So here's the thing. I understand not wanting to use them, I also say start with them if you're start using them if you're struggling, and then turn them off as you play. Like, just swap them on and off. It's not like it's a permanent decision to use them. You can unequip them if you decide that, like, hey, you know, let me just try practicing a little bit. As someone located at the nexus of Final Fantasy fandom and Devil May Cry, I'm hoping you'll get me better at 16. You'll help me get better at 16. Somebody help me get better at the OG Titan EX fight. That being said, I have 2 questions for you. 1, what are some steps I can take now to get better at that type of game? And 2, do you know what type of content you plan on putting out for 16? Will you be doing any guides or just playthroughs? I will probably be doing guides, specifically on some of the side content, but we need to kind of understand a little bit more about it. There might be some achievements in particular that I want to make guides on, but without knowing, because we haven't played it, there's really nothing to base it off of other than a few clips from their live streams and from from that media event that they did, which put out some stuff. There's no way to know. What I do want to do a video that talks a little bit about the different primals, different combinations that you can use, things that I like. But the steps you can take now is to just play Devil May Cry. I can't say this in any more simple a manner. Play Devil May Cry on the 5 specifically on the easiest difficulty. There are many difficulties for Devil May Cry, and Final Fantasy 16 forgoes the lower difficulties in favor of using the timely accessories. Final Fantasy 16 will also have Final Fantasy mode, which is basically a harder version of the game, but you can only do that after you beat the game. So, but it sounds like you don't need to worry about that. You just need to try learning to play Devil May Cry 5 on the lower difficulties, which are very forgiving to people not usually good at those games. And then you can go up a difficulty. And if you're like, oh, I can still do that, then you go up. And maybe you don't go all the way to like Dante Must Die or Son of Sparta or anything, but at the very least, you have some stepping stones, and those are good. Hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. That is actually Sunday, but maybe Monday. Hi, how are you? Okay, had the hello. I got nervous for a second. Me too. Thanks for asking. You're welcome. I mean, thanks for answering. Anyway, lore question with the Endwalker patch spoilers. Okay, that's fine. Now that we are in the void, there have been new lines of Sayela and Unukalhai, assuming one, if not both of them, entered the MSQ. Do we expect the Triad trials or the role quest to be mandatory? That's why they won't be there. That's why they're going to be side characters. Now, the Triad, possible. The problem is, if you then did the role quests, Unukalhai's location changes and it becomes difficult. So I say no. I don't think they'll ever be included because they're never going to force you to do those things unless they remove them as role quests. Like, you know, like I just don't see them asking you to go do all of these side quests to do anything MSQ related. That being said, no, it's still weird. Yeah, no, Gaia would be more likely, as you're suggesting here. I think Gaia would be the more likely character they would tie into all of that. But, yeah, no, I don't think Unukalhai and Sayela... Well, Sayela is actually a maybe. Unukalhai is the one that's tough to figure out because he's the one who moves around a bunch, depending on, what quests you've actually done already. So, yeah, no, Gaia would have the higher probability, I feel. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hello, Haps. Hi. Hello, Ivy. She's asleep. Hope you and your family are doing well. We're doing all right. I was wondering why our titles arranged the way that they are. My static has... World as his first name, and I'm using World Class Troller. Proud of you. I kept getting confused for my tank during raids. The confusion has caused a lot of wipes, which is funny, but made me realize different titles are placed differently. Will they give us choices for title placement? No, it's based on just what makes more sense. Like when it's kind of just something that's proclaimed, like I am a World Class Troller, it's usually like the first part of your nameplate. If it's something that's like of the blank or from the blank, like, you know, something that's almost like possessive or something of that caliber, that'll always go behind. And then some of them are just weird, like Z. Yeah, I mean, that's a weird title as a whole. But I almost wonder if that's just like an anime reference, because just adding Z to the end of things. Like I know Dragon Ball Z, but I'm sure it's more than just Dragon Ball Z. I remember Powerpuff Girls Z, the anime version of Powerpuff Girls. So I have to imagine there's more Z thrown into things towards the end, but it kind of fills that role. But yeah, it's just what like more logically sounds better. Not everyone agrees with that, but that's how they're ordered in your nameplate. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, long-time watcher, but haven't asked a question in years. You also didn't say hello. Let's take a bonus of your favorite pastry. I'm a simple man. I'll take a cinnamon bun. 2 questions. 1, where does Dragoon fall in the pecking order of dance partner? I hardly get it these days. It makes me big sad. Probably pretty low. Dragoon's personal DPS, I don't think, is as good as pretty much all the other ones. Maybe, I don't know, actually. I need to look. It's their DPS contributions are largely because they give a lot of buffs out, and that even depends on the raid comp. But I don't think they're considered a very good target for dance partner compared to something like Ninja, for example. Monk probably, although I wonder, Monk, you know what, here's the thing, I'd have to look at logs, and logs, I'd have to look at ADPS. So if you're ever wondering kind of the pecking order, it's generally you look at the ADPS rankings on logs, and that tells you your answer. But even then, on a fight-to-fight basis, it can change. Sometimes there's phases that better suit different jobs, and there are different burst windows. But a lot of the time in places like Ultimates, Ninja ends up kind of coming out on top, strictly because they have a good burst every 1 minute. I know in our top prog, I had to give it to the red mage at one point because the ninja didn't have their 1 minute burst during phase 4, but the red mage had 3 melee combos stocked up specifically for that phase. So I had to swap onto them. They would do their massive burst throughout that phase, and then I would put it back on the ninja because traditionally they kind of just fill a better space, I suppose, in a more consistent way across the fight. So I don't think Dragoon's very high on the pecking order. I'm willing to bet that it's like one of the lowest melee DPS. But if they have better gear, I will say this, a lot of dancers don't do this. Look at your dance partner, potential dance partner's gear. If one's like a job that you don't dance partner, but they're in BIS, and one you normally dance partner, but they're like way lower in item level, please give it to the higher item level player. It's really just whoever's doing the most DPS at any given point. What's a food item you haven't had in a long time that you wish you could have again? Oh man, that's tough. That I haven't had in a long time. I've had ramen, I've had pho, sushi. I haven't had sushi in a while, and I'm kind of craving it, but I don't think that meets the category. A lot of Korean food that I've had is so good. I've had hot pot. What is a food item I haven't had in a while that I could... Oh, you know what? Fried chicken. So there's a place in LA called Howlin' Ray's, and I've been there a handful of times, and... Dude, that's it. That's the answer. It's Howlin' Ray's fried chicken in Chinatown in Los Angeles. That specifically is the thing that I miss. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey Haps, hi. A thought popped into my head a while ago while doing Goetia content. Do you think the poor reward structure for Criterion Dungeons is a reaction to how things were done in Shadowbringers, particularly how Diablo artifact gear is locked behind an extreme grind, augmented Goetia Southern Front gear is locked behind a ridiculous coin grind, and augmented Diablo Laws Order gear is locked behind DRS? I don't think it has anything to do with any of that. I think they just made it, focused on making it, and didn't have enough of a plan. They thought, you know what they probably did? They looked at extreme trials and thought, well, most people don't really use the weapons or need the weapons, but it's the mount that people want. So we'll put a mount in here and a couple of other little things, housing item, framer kits, whatever, just some stuff that makes sense. But the player base doesn't treat it like an extreme trial, specifically the normal mode criterion, not even the savage mode. They treat it like it's kind of like a level above that. And I do kind of feel like it is a level above that as someone who has done both the normal and savage difficulty of criterion. And to them, doing 25 runs of that for the mount is not satisfactory. Also, the savage version doesn't even give the coins for the mount. So you can't do savage to get the coins and then get savage rewards. Well, not that there are any, but there's not even that kind of interaction. So you just have to step away from savage and only do the normal mode one. And then there's a whole bunch of things that just don't make sense. But I don't think it's a reaction to anything. I do think they thought more about the content than about the rewards from it, and they better not make that mistake a second time. Oh, there was a second part to that. Speaking of, what's your opinion on Diablo raid gear being Savage exclusive? It's been the bane of me as a mid-core player. Eventually, you can just unsync it and get it. I don't personally see a big deal. It's got to be rewards for people. Like, I know item level is one thing, but the Diablo stuff, to me, it doesn't matter because I do it, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask, but sooner or later, you just unsync and destroy these fights anyway with a few people, and then it ends up not mattering. So, to me, it's whatever. All right, I can feel my voice starting to get strained. And dude, I trimmed my like beard and my stash and my nose just won't stop itching when I start talking for long periods. And you keep seeing, I did it in the video recently too, that I was recording. That video won't be out for like 2 more weeks, but it's still annoying. I just can't stop. I'm just like, stop itching. Stop. It's annoying. It makes me wonder if like when I trimmed this, like hair got in there and it's just like tickling me, but I'm starting to get tired, and I'm like 40 minutes into the recording, so I'm going to lightning round the rest of the questions. Browsing the interwebs when I saw Stormblood being given out for free for a limited time to anyone who had the starter edition. My question is, do you think Square Enix will ever update the free trial to include later expansions? I actually don't think so. I don't think this is any relation to that. I think they literally see the amount of content from A Realm Reborn to Heavensward, and the free trial is supposed to be your chance to determine if you want to purchase the game. It is not a ticket to get through as much content for free before buying the game, as much as some people may treat it like that. It is a marketing tool, and I don't think they're going to think any player needs 2 expansions to make up their mind about whether or not they want to buy the game. Now, what they're almost certainly thinking with Stormblood being free with starter editions is some people may start on the free trial, decide they don't like the limitations, and buy the starter edition, which is the same amount of content, just without any of the free trial restrictions. And then those players get their hands on Stormblood, and now they feel like they can commit all the way to Endwalker. So I feel like that's the idea behind the current one, but I don't think they're going to update the free trial. They might. I'm not saying they won't. I'm just saying I think it doesn't logically make sense to expect it versus, you know, when we expected them to expand the original one. The next one was thanking me for answering the previous question. Let's see. Oh, opinion on Carbuncle. I'm curious why they don't allow scholars the option to glam their fairies that look like Alphanos Carbuncles. Funny you should mention that. Yeah, they're getting Carbuncle glams, as we just learned in the recent live letter. But I also agree that the Moonstone Carbuncles and the other ones, Obsidian and all that, those should also be glam options, and I don't understand why they aren't. Personally, dislike that Carbuncle does basically nothing. Yeah, it's kind of lame. But it is what it is. You know, I'm not a summoner main, but when I am on it, it's like, this is weird that he's just sitting there watching me. But at the same time, like, it's one of those things that, like, I get it, but it's still kind of just like, what are you doing, Carbuncle? What are you even doing here? Let's see. How come you do not make a how to play guide on your main jobs? Because I know how to play them, but it's a mix of what I've learned from playing it and what other people have. It's a coalition of information that is not exclusively from me. Now, obviously, I post stuff that other people, you know, like articles and, you know, translations and whatnot. But I don't want to just rip someone's Discord guide and be like, yeah, these are the things they've mathematically, because I don't do what they do. I don't go to hit a dummy 1,000 times to get min-max variants on auto attacks and compare those versus I don't do all that. And that's the information that I find valuable. And as such, if I make a video or a guide on that, and I do actually make these videos, sometimes the videos you're referring to, I just don't make them consistently. I also hop around main fairly frequently, so it's not like I have one job that I will only play forever, and that's the job I'm going to make videos on. There's a lot of reasons. It's why I prefer to focus on the Versus series, which covers all the jobs. It covers their strengths, their weaknesses, and an opinion on, you know, why you would play it or why you wouldn't play it, versus focusing on telling someone exactly how they have to play it. Because even if rotations change or potencies change, the general feel of the verses still remains roughly the same. So the information is more long-term value to somebody versus something like a guide, which I may need to update in another patch. And then somebody finds a guide that's a little bit old and it doesn't have all the right information because they made this change in that patch, but maybe the algorithm's picking up the wrong. There's so many facets to it that it just doesn't seem like I shouldn't act as an authority on things when there are other people putting in way more effort to be an authority, and I don't just want to take their work and make it my work, I suppose. Then let's see, is there any other? Let's say I had a first time question here. What are your thoughts on Rescue? I love Rescue. Despite the videos of me being griefed by it, I've also seen it used very successfully in a lot of content. And also it makes for hilarious times with friends. Definitely don't want Rescue to be an AoE. For the love of God, though, don't do that. Don't do that. No, and no on that one. Let's see. Then we had, how are you? Hi. Following Pokemon games, do you recommend me to buy? I skipped most Pokemon games. I literally didn't own Generations 3, 4, 5, or 6. 7, I didn't play Ultra Sun or Moon. And then You know, 8 is Sword and Shield, and then 9 has been Sun and what's the current one? Is it Sun and Moon? What's the current one? No, Ultra Sun and Moon, that was Gen 7. The current one's Scarlet Violet. Idiot, right. And I didn't play the Let's Go games, not a fan of those. So literally 2 of the 3 options you presented me, I haven't played. Oh, I did play Brilliant Diamond, actually, though. So I guess I have played Gen 4 now. I'd say Legends Arceus of the batch that you gave me. I felt like it felt decently different, and it has a few flaws, but there are some basic things that the dev team behind Scarlet and Violet just can't get right for some reason, and it wasn't right in Gen 8. And they fixed some of those things in Arceus, and then they go unfixed again, like managing, like being able to mass release in the game and not through the freaking app. Ugh, I mean, that's one of many things, but Arceus shows me there's hope. That Pokemon games can look at basic quality of life and say, this is better if we do it this way, right? And then Scarlet and Violet shows me that they don't talk to each other and that we'll never get that. So never mind. Let's see. Then what else do we have here? Shout out to Record Keeper. Let's see. Can I get a what? 11 related question. I've never played 11 because I don't have a PC. Do you think they should pull a Calamity and end 11 and relaunch it? No. That's a guaranteed failure. That's A, never going to happen, and B, a guaranteed failure if they try to remake 11 and take down the old one and relaunch it without doing anything but updating graphics. You can update graphics without relaunching the game. And they're not, and if they update the mechanics, then the classic 11 people are going to say that's not really Final Fantasy 11. No, you can't do that with 11. 11 you have to play as it is, or it's just not a good idea. When you get a PC and you don't need a very strong one to play it, I would recommend just going through PC, because what you've said is never. They might do a single player 11 at some point. Like if they just decide that it's just not worth keeping the game online anymore, they might do that, but not in a Realm Reborn version of Final Fantasy 11. And that, I believe, is the last question for this week's Q&A. So thank you for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and ask your questions in the comment sections of the video below. I'm gonna go, oh, my nose stops itching. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye-bye.